Hey guys, how you doing? It's VaulSC here. Hope you're having a good week despite what's going on around the world. I have started working from home. I'm hating it, but on other news, the Infinity Tabletop Simulator League is well underway and it's going really well. So in this video I want to give you guys just a few updates, answer a few questions that I get quite frequently, and generally just check in with you all, see how you're doing. So, the Infinity Tabletop Simulator League, wow, it's actually off to a great start. If I just come down here and bring up the spreadsheet. So there are over 60 people who enrolled in this league. And obviously in the spreadsheet you can see on the first tab down the bottom under participating, we've got the first group of people including, the admins, who are sort of just casually in it for the unscheduled side of things, but then a whole another 48 people, I think it is, on the scheduled rounds. So we've got over 60 people actually involved in this thing to choose, opponents from. And then where I'm keeping the leaderboard over in the third tab, you can see that we've got something like 56 people actively participating in games. That's either the ranked scheduled structured division of the league or the overall group results, which includes both the scheduled stuff and the casual unranked sort of stuff. Now, the one question I seem to get asked the most is whether it's too late to sign up. So we're already most of the way through the first, well, not even most of the way through the first week. We're past the first weekend, basically. And what I'm saying to people at this point is that you can't really sign up for the ranked division of it anymore. Just to explain what this is for people sort of not really following it, people who haven't really read the rules or the descriptions, we've basically got this big group of players which comprises the league. And within that group, we've got a sort of subsection of people who have signed up to commit to playing that one game a week and to be a bit flexible with their opponents. We're talking about people in Europe, people in America, people in Australia, different time zones. And these people have agreed to play against whoever I match them with. And the thinking is that over a 5-week period, if we play one game per week, we're going to do it in a similar way that an ITS structure would work out. So as you can see, we've already got 42 people submitting a game, which is amazing. And we've already sort of dished out, okay, the top group have won a game. There's the tournament points. So you get 3 points if you have beaten your opponent by 5 objective points or more. So that's the differential, and then there's the actual objective points that everybody got, plus the army points, which is victory points stuff remaining at the end. So what will happen is at the end of the first week, I'll use this to create the second set of pairings, and as you can see here, in the first week we've got everybody paired up. All but three matches have been decided, so we're still waiting on Amnesia Spearoats, Anarchy versus Killer Whales, and Stoneman versus Alonso Bazos. But once those guys have submitted their games, I'll already be putting through the actual the matchup. So coming back to what I was talking about, it's too late to join them in the competition that will decide the eventual, Discord champion, the Tabletop Simulator League champion for this season. But then, of course, hopefully we'll do another league in the future. But what I wanted to slow down and really talk about a bit more is that it's not too late, and never is it too late, to join the overall group, which just has, the unscheduled, unranked, less competitive games. So there's a smaller group of people here who are not participating in the actual structured one game a week kind of thing that you sort of have to commit to. Anybody can be part of this group. Now, of course, the benefit of participating in the scheduled rounds, the ranked division of the league, is that you can obviously try and compete towards that goal of being the winner, and also it's a very structured, systematic way of giving you a more evenly matched opponent every week. So initially these guys, most people actually got crushed. There's 2 reasons why there's such a decisive scoreline initially. Reason number 1, Frostbite is a mission which is usually pretty win big kind of thing. Usually the guy who's got their data tracker in the middle and has just wiped out their opponent, everything else freezes to death, gets a pretty big scoreline. The other reason, though, is that in any sort of collection of Infinity players, you've always got a group of people who aren't that competitive, don't play a lot of tournaments, are maybe very new to the game, and then there's a whole bunch of real veterans who are just these cutthroat Infinity players who are really good. And look, there's nothing wrong with that kind of disparity. There's nothing wrong with being from either of those camps. We welcome everybody. But initially, I can't tell, what's going to make a good matchup, and nor should I try and decide whether these matchups here that we initially looked at, whether these are going to be one-sided. In fact, what I did do is I roughly allocated people from similar countries and localities to play against each other, just because I wanted the first round to go smoothly. However, it's going to get a bit more difficult soon, because we're now going to have a lot of matchups where your opponent will be around the other side of the world. Coming back to what I was saying, though, the good thing about being in the scheduled division, the ranked division of this league, is that every week that passes, you're going to get an opponent that's more and more closely matched to you. So if you are a pretty inexperienced player, don't get to play Infinity very much, and you're in this thing, don't worry if you got smashed in your first round. Your next round, I'm pairing you up against somebody who also lost, and then in the next round, it'll get closer and closer to finding your absolute soulmate after 5 weeks, the one guy who's doing very similarly to you, and your goal should be to do as well as you can at the end of the league. But of course, there are a few people who are going to be vying for that top spot. So that's the benefit of obviously signing up early and being involved in the scheduled, committed, ranked division of the league. But it's not too late to sign up to the league in general. You can still email me. You can still submit the things that I'm being asking for, your Discord name, the country or city that you live in, preferably city. There's the 2 army codes that I need, and that's pretty much it. So if that happens, you basically get put into this larger crowd, and the games that you submit using this match league result form, obviously you'll be selecting, was this a scheduled ranked match, and you'll be selecting no if you're not part of the ranked division. But your score will still be captured in this overall field. So let's just look at what's going on here, because we've got a ton of results already. Obviously, I'm collecting wins over here. The second column is the percentage, which will become a little bit more granular once we get a lot more games into the database. Tournament points, of course, these are accumulated, so you can actually get any number of them. Same with objective points and army points. And then GP just stands for games played at the side here. Crazily enough, we've got Mr. Lobo0705, who's got 6 games submitted already, which is crazy. The next closest person is Protoman with 3. But the point is that there's 2 benefits of basically signing up to this league at any time. Benefit number 1 is that it will help you to advertise the fact that you're looking for a game. So if you're new to Tabletop Simulator, you're quarantined because of the coronavirus, you want to play Infinity, but you don't know where to go to find an opponent, if you're in this league and you're putting your name out there, people can see in the Discord, I've marked you with a blue name tag on the right here, and it's a bit more easy to advertise the fact you're looking for a game and find opponents who are also trying to add their points to the score, to the leaderboard. So the point of this is that even though you may not be competing in the schedule side of it at the moment, if you join up, you are still going to be part of this looking for group kind of group, I should say. The other reason is that this league also allows you to try and find opponents who are doing as well as you or not doing as well as you, kind of thing. So if you have played a casual game and you lost your game but you're looking for a new opponent, maybe you should choose between somebody else who's played 1 game and lost their game. Just have a friendly reach out to somebody in this group. Or if you've just won 2 games in a row, you can try and look for somebody else in the league who's won a couple of games. Or take on Lobo, who's 83% as far as I'm concerned. It'll get a little bit easier to determine things as the weeks go by. We're in the first week, which is off to an amazing start, but I imagine that 2 or 3 weeks from now, the data will start to really spread out the group, and you'll see a lot of people who are quite close to 50% win rate, quite a few people who haven't won any games at all, and you can sort of identify what kind of player are you, where do you sit in the overall scale of things, and you can look for opponents who are closely ranked to you, and hopefully this will help you to get a bit more of a competitive, evenly matched game, which is really what we want. So excited about that, and the league is going very well as far as that's concerned. The second thing which I get asked about all the time is the fact that this week apparently they are releasing the rules in Army 6 for the new sectorials. There's Sphalerema, not sure how you pronounce that. the new wintry Pano sectorial, obviously from Operation Kaldstrom, and of course the highly anticipated White Banner in Yuqing. We've already had some clues and spoilers. We've seen the sectorial chart showing what fire teams are available. We can't see the exact, rules for composing fire teams, and that's going to be one of the main ones, but we can see what units are available, and it's starting to take shape. People are very excited, and I get asked all the time, can we play with those sectorials in the league? Given that everybody has been forced to submit two lists by emailing me their army codes, and that's sort of set in stone for 5 weeks. Now, I want to address that, and this is new, what I'm about to tell you, news for the league. Obviously, if you are competing in this side, the scheduled, ranked, competitive side of the league, where I'm matching you up with opponents once a week, those lists are there in the same way that when you go to an ITS event, you can't change your lists after one round because the lists weren't working for you, or because you figured out what your opponents are likely to have, so you're just going to make a new list. Not allowed for the weekly scheduled ranked games. You guys are stuck with those lists and those factions until next season. However, I am planning on opening things up a little bit for the unscheduled rounds, the overall group, where you're submitting a no to was this a scheduled ranked match. What I will now say is that as of round 2, and round 2 is going to be probably announced this weekend, even as early as this Friday if everybody finishes their rounds really quickly. As of round 2 and onward, you are conditionally allowed to use a list that is not one of the 2 lists that you submitted me, provided that, if and only if, you can get your opponent to agree. And secondarily, on the result form, you are submitting obviously a no to the scheduled rank match, and secondarily, in the section where it says, would you like to add any other notes to this result, I would like you to tell me what sectorial you actually used if it wasn't one of your default ones. And you need to do that for your opponent as well. So let's say it's me and I'm playing against Hayoung, and Hayoung decides that he likes the look of the new White Banner, so he creates a White Banner list for that casual unranked game, that unscheduled game, and he plays against me, and we fill in the form, and I decided to just use my basic foreign company list, which I've set aside for this league. So what we say in the text down here is VaulSC used his default list, and Hayoung played White Banner for this game. What that will allow me to do is work out an alternate faction that you're representing, because one thing I'm trying to do here is to show a bit of faction representation, but if everybody's playing a different sectorial every single game, we don't really get very much of that. I'll also say that if you're going to do this, you're only allowed to play one other sectorial, okay? So, for example, if you are Perzan and you're Huxlam and you want to play White Banner, you'll be representing Huxlam and White Banner. If you're Methuselah and you've been playing Aleph, but you would kind of like to play some OSS as well, you're going to be representing Aleph and OSS. Or if you're Lord Frank and you're playing JSA, but you like the look of the new Svelorama and you want to play Svelorama at some point during the league, you can represent Svelorama. And I'll make a... minimize this. I'm going to make another little column here where I just record everybody's secondary faction. Alright, so just to go through those rules again. Not legal at the moment, but after I announce round 2, once we get into the second round, and obviously new sectorials have come out, if you're playing an unscheduled, unranked match, you are able to use a third list, which is going to be from a completely different sectorial that you're not currently using, and so long as you tell me about that in the game result, I will have you representing a secondary faction, an auxiliary faction over here. You don't need to send me your list. You can use a different list every game, as long as it's, the casual games, and I'll record that, and your win or loss and all the points will still go towards the main result. So hopefully this will allow people to have a bit of a taste of the new sectorials, while at the same time participating in the lovely and wonderful Infinity Tournament Simulator League that VaulSC has put on for everybody, and while at the same time still having some continuity with the faction that you're representing, because again, I do think this faction representation is fun and important and it's good for the league, so I don't want to dilute it too much by everybody playing every faction under the sun. So there's your main faction and there's your secondary faction. We'll keep a track of that, but you will be allowed to use the sectorials next week, or any other sectorial if you happen to have gotten sick of playing your 2 lists over and over and over and over and over again. Hopefully that's okay with people. Hopefully you're satisfied with that. Let me know in a comment or a Discord message if you have any problem with that. But again, it's not going to affect the actual structured competition in any way. Okay. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is this wonderful new video by Azrael. He has effectively updated the base Infinity mod. This is the guy who basically started this whole thing and working on Aristia as well. And you should watch his video because in the mod that I'm going to be hosting for the next round of this tournament, it will be based on his new version of the table with a bunch of features. What he's done is he's actually watched my Tabletop Simulator video and added a couple of things to it. So there's a few extra tips and hints that you won't get from my basic Tabletop Simulator tutorial, which he will be able to show you the slightly more advanced stuff. So I really recommend checking that out. If I haven't already mentioned, by the way, guys, Azrael and the other guy, War of 1812, I can't remember his name, something like that, have reached out to us and basically said they don't really want to have to continue doing the mod anymore. They don't have a lot of time for it. It's not really the same sort of passion anymore, and they'd like to be able to hand that over to people. So go and read Azrael's post in the Discord for the TTS Infinity Aristia group and have a look at what that says there. We've already got our buddy Tim, Wyrock No Die, taking over the Infinity mod. And by the way, guys, I know that the guy doesn't want to accept that much credit, but we really need to be saying thanks to Wyrock No Die for the work that he's been doing on the mod lately, because he's actually had to move like all of the assets, and I'm not talking about like 1 or 2 assets, but heaps of manual data entry labor to get this thing continued and working for us, which I personally appreciate a lot, and I think that you guys will appreciate quite a lot as well once you understand, you know, what sort of work has been involved there. So thank you so much to Wyrock No Die for doing that. The other thing that came up is that Azrael did reach out to me. Can't remember if I've mentioned this on a video, but he's basically mentioned that you know, should we merge the Discords? I'm not really sure about doing that just yet. I know that there's a group of people who are in the TTS Infinity and Aristia Discord who aren't in my Discord, and I'm okay with that. This is more for general public stuff, and it's Infinity and Aristia. The thing about my particular Discord is it's really for people who are fans of this YouTube channel, have a lot to say in response to my videos, and it's for the league as well. It's for my personal friends. So, you know, changing that and diluting that, I'm not too sure how that would work right now. I mean, we could make it so that the one Discord's there purely for the league and people responding to me about my channel, and then the main one is for TTS in general. But again, I just don't know how it's going to be structured. So even if I accept their offer to have me take control over both Discords, I'm not 100% ready to do that just yet. Still thinking about it. But hopefully you guys will be in support of whatever decision we go for. Another quick one, we were asked recently how hidden deployment should work in Tabletop Simulator. I did speak about this in my tutorial video. There are a couple of other ways of doing it. One thing that somebody mentioned over here, Tracksuit mentioned, is that you can actually save a screen capture and zip it with a password and send that over Discord, so that they have to have a password to see what you've sent them. And at the end of the game, you give them the password, they open the zip package, and they can see a screenshot of where you hid your hidden deployment ninja or something like that. So that's a question which came up. Again, guys, please do contact me if you're having trouble scheduling your games. I don't want anybody's league experience to be ruined by you know, getting to the end of the league and not having completed your game, and that being on the behalf of your opponent fault, not actually showing up for their game. We may be able to reschedule a couple of things. I might be able to sub in and play for somebody or play against somebody at the last minute. That may work, and I'm so glad that it's basically just come down to like 6 matches which haven't even been played yet. Everybody else is already in, which is awesome. I was kind of afraid that like half of the people here wouldn't show up and just flake out in games, but that hasn't even happened. So thank you guys, so grateful for that. One interesting thing that happened though is that our buddy Felchonon from Germany, playing Verona, between me and him, there was a little bit of miscommunication and a little bit of misunderstanding in his sign-up email about whether he wanted to be part of the scheduled ranked rounds or not. It turns out that he does, even though I thought, from what he was saying about his possible inflexibility in terms of commitment, that he wouldn't. So I've currently got him in the lower ranked league here. Possibly deciding that at the end of this round to bump him into the main version of the league here, if that's cool with people. The way that will work is that there'd be a bye round going into round 2. But what I'd do is I'd find the lowest ranked player in the structured league, so not affecting the top tables, but the lowest ranked player will get a wild card. And what that means is that they have the choice of either having their round 2 league game played against somebody in the casual scheme of things who has not won any games, because this is somebody who has been absolutely destroyed in round 1. I mean, we've got one guy here who got absolutely 0 in every single category, so maybe he might be able to play against somebody from the unscheduled division in round 2 as a bye. They can choose that or play against me, which to be honest would be an easy win considering I'm out of form at the moment and I'm playing foreign companies, so easy win, plus I roll bad. But that will allow me to bump somebody up into the scheduled and ranked division. Also, I mean, if you are in here, if you're unscheduled and you really think, oh gosh, I could commit to a game a week, that should actually be really easy, and you've already played your game, there may be a possibility of promoting you into this this group here. I definitely don't want to do this after the first round, but as we're bringing everything together and things are a little bit informal initially, we have room to do that. Then after we start actually pairing people up based on how they've been performing, we have to keep things rigid and set in stone and continuing on like that. So this has been a bit of an update, guys. This is super exciting. Really happy with the results that have been coming in. Keep them coming. And don't forget to continue submitting your results here. You can submit as many results as you want. And although some people may not have understood this, if you are somebody like Lobo and you want to play lots of games, you can submit a bunch of games in the same week. The only restriction is that I don't want to see you submit a result against the same player more than once during the entire league, right? So if you've already played against Zap, you can't submit another game against Zap. That goes for both divisions, obviously. If you've already played a game against Castor, choose somebody else who you haven't played against, but do submit that game. And obviously, if it's not part of the ranked section, just answer this main question here as a no. So hopefully that's been some good news for you guys. Really looking forward to giving you another video at the end of this week, updating you on round 2. I will be creating a beautiful new table for you to use with a new Infinity mod, the new bits and pieces on that. Looking forward to that, so look out for that. Probably not going to be very many sort of slideshow live bat reps from me in the near future because of the virus that's going around and the fact that I am in isolation and quarantined and can't go and meet people to play Infinity. But we've got Tabletop Simulator for that, so keep going with those league game, guys. The league is going well.